Welcome to this week's weekly weather briefing. It is December the 31st, 2017. Happy New Year's Eve, by the way. We are looking at well below average temperatures blanketing across the region right now. Thank goodness that we don't have any snowpack, or else we would be looking at extremely cold air compared to what we're seeing right now. Those well below average temperatures, nonetheless, will last all week long, 15 to 25 degrees below average. We start to see a gradual warm up going into next weekend, and this is all going to be based off of a storm system that moves into the region. Possibly, it might not even be there. The dry pattern continues, no precipitation expected at all this week, at least going through Saturday. January 8th through the 10th, we're expecting a system, but like I just mentioned, this system could not even be there by the time we get to this point next weekend. Last weekend at this time, we were saying we could be looking at a storm system right now, and we're seeing nothing, just bitterly dry, cold air. So models are also in la-la land with that system around January the 8th through the 10th, and we'll talk about that at the very end of the video. Well below average temperatures to cover before we even begin to talk about rain or snow. The first single digits of the year are going to be possible, if not likely, going into tonight. This would be on Sunday night, early on Monday morning, and then early Tuesday morning. So 7 a.m. on Monday morning, the NAM 3KM model says we hit 5 degrees in Paducah. Right, by the way, the record is 5 degrees. So we either tie it or we break it, or we might just stay a degree above it and not even break it or tie it. Tuesday morning, we're looking at around 7 a.m. The morning lows to be about the same as they are on Monday morning, around 5 or 6 degrees, and we could see some isolated colder spots dip into the lower half of the single digits. I do not think that anyone hits the negatives or zero. So here's a look at those Saturday 6 a.m. temperature anomalies. The entire eastern half of the United States still dealing with well below average temperatures, so this is just to show that they last all week long. I'm not going to show you a map of the anomalies for every single day this week, but just to show you, if they're still going to be there Saturday, they're here today, you can expect that they're going to be there just about all week long, and they will be. A gradual warm-up expected as we move forward. This would be going into the second half of next weekend, say Sunday, and into January the 8th and the 9th, next Monday and Tuesday. This is all based off of a storm system that moves into the United States around this time frame. And depending on the track of this system, really depends on how warm or how cold we get going into next weekend. So next weekend's a toss-up for right now. It's all depending on the track of this storm system. But whether we see a storm system or not, and whether it takes a northerly, southerly track, I still think that we're going to see that gradual warm up. I still think we're going to moderate a little bit out of this deep freeze that we're in right now and going to be for the next week or so. So really below, depending on where this track is, I still just think that temperatures will remain slightly below average to average. So I still think that temperatures are going to be a little bit below average, even though the track of this system is still undetermined at this point. So this is a map, the same model that I just showed you a minute ago for 12 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. This would be for January the 7th. This is not from today. This is for next Sunday. And we're looking at still, like I said, it's slightly below average to average temperatures, but off to our west, it shows well above average temperatures. This particular model says that we see a northerly track with the storm system. It says we see well above average temperatures, 60 degrees next Tuesday, Monday morning, and I just do not think that's going to happen. I think models are still giving out some pretty weird solutions right now. A dry pattern continues. Not much expected through next Saturday. This is valid through 6 a.m. on Sunday. Notice we see nothing. The entire area in the Mid-South is looking at absolutely no precipitation in the next week. January 8th through the 10th, the system that I've already mentioned is possibly moving into the area. Still undetermined if there even is a system. So there's not to say that there might not be a system, because there really might not be. So at the 200 millibar level, the models are not supporting themselves. They say there's going to be a track of northerly storm track for this system. Meanwhile, at the 200 millibar level, it does not support a northerly storm track. This is the GFS model for January 8th at 12 a.m. Notice that we're looking at rain being pulled northward out of the Gulf Coast, and we're looking at snow off to our north and east, and even off to our northwest a little bit, showing some snow being wrapped around. It has an area of low pressure, a pretty strong one at that, at the Canadian and U.S. border north of Lake Superior. That would be extremely impressive for this time of the year. Usually by this time of the year, the average storm track is just to our south, and it continues to move south as we go throughout the rest of January into February, and that's when we begin to enter into our winter storm season around here. So this is not going to be, I think, a very big storm system, but there will be one still determines on how warm or how cold our temperatures get next weekend, and really if we see any precipitation at all. The GFS model, same time next Monday at 12 a.m., and here's the 200 millibar level. Notice this is the jet stream, and it's showing that we see the strongest of that jet stream being into portions of the Central Plains and into portions of the Mid-South. Now, I'm not trying to say that this map is correct and that this one is not. I'm just showing that the two maps don't agree. It's the same model, the same time, and if you look at the 200 millibar level, there should not be an area of low pressure up here because it has no jet stream to ride along. If there would be any system around this time frame, it should be right here, unless it is a cutoff low. And we're not expecting a cutoff low because the models don't even show it. It just shows an area of low pressure, pretty consistent, going into this area, into the northeasterly direction. If it were to show a cutoff low, then this would make sense, but it's not. And so that means that it should be well down here, well south of the point that it is right now on the models. And so if it were to be right in here, we could be looking at a rain-snow mix, or all rain or all snow. So this is still a very big system that is possibly in play for next weekend. Possibly not. We still don't have all the details fine-tuned right now, and we won't until we get closer to this time frame next weekend. So this is just something to keep in mind as we move forward. So here is a look at those 15-day temperatures. Remember, I'm not showing you the actual air temperatures. I'm just trying to show you the trends. Notice we begin to moderate a little bit. Wednesday's actually our warmest day this week, and that's actually only going to be in the lower half of the 30s. As we move into the 4th on Thursday, Friday the 5th, we begin to see those temperatures bottom out once again. I don't think those temperatures on Friday and Thursday get as cold as they are going to be on Monday and Tuesday. We're looking at high temperatures on Monday and Tuesday only in the teens to lower 20s. We see temperatures into the lower 30s by Wednesday, morning lows bumping into the lower half of the teens, and that's going to be the warm-up for the week. Then we bottom back out into the single digits for Thursday and Friday morning, and into the teens and lower 20s for highs on Friday and Thursday. So we begin to see that moderation once we get into Saturday and Sunday, and this is the same model ensembles that are showing that system well north of our region. I do not think that's the correct solution. I do think it will be further south, so please be aware of that as we move forward going into the next week. But nonetheless, let's get through these bitterly cold temperatures that will blanket the region going into the next week.